Hi everyone, I'm Eric Dennis and I'm going to present on CODEMA's Home Energy Saving Kit today. The Home Energy Saving Kit is available from all public libraries, certainly in Dublin anyway and around the country, and you can see an image of it here. So it has a thermometer, a humidity stat kind of in the centre there. Below that is a radiator key. Above that a fridge thermometer, and to the right is a kilowatt hour meter. So I'll take you through the individual components of it. The Sustainable Energy Community in Skerries SEAI, so Skerries Sustainable Energy Community Initiative, also have one of the kits that they will loan out as well. So if anyone's interested kind of locally, they can either get it from the library or through the Sustainable Energy Community as well. The first bit, I suppose, what it's about, I suppose, to check where your energy is going, and it contains those 5 tools that I just kind of went through there. So find out what it's costing you once you've measured your energy use, and use the workbook to calculate how much it's costing and how much you might be able to save on bills. See how you can make savings. So again, once you discovered where the energy is going, check out easy to follow guidelines to start making real savings, whether it's your own, whether you rent or live alone or in your own home. That's a big one in Dublin. I suppose maybe Fingal mightn't be as it mightn't be as big a thing in Fingal, but certainly in Dublin city centre, CODEMA look after the 4 Dublin local authorities, and in the city centre, I suppose, an awful lot of people are renting, and there's this kind of divide between owners and renters and energy savings, upgrades and stuff like that, where there's no real incentive. They call it the split incentive. There's no incentive for landlords to upgrade homes because they're not living in them themselves. There's no direct expense kind of there. So that's the kit there. So free to borrow from libraries, and certainly Skerries, Rush, Balbriggan all have kits to loan out, and of course the Sustainable Energy Community as well here in Skerries have their own kit that they put out on loan as well. So the thermal leak detector, so this is a piece of kit where essentially you'll turn it on, that's almost like a sort of a kind of a gun as such, where you kind of aim it. You can set a reference temperature, so you kind of point it at the wall here. You'll set the reference temperature, and then you can kind of go around and look for hot and cold spots with that, and it's visual as well. So like when you set your reference temperature, it goes blue, and then when you go to an area that's warmer, it'll go red. When you go to an area that's cooler, it'll go the reference temperature is green. When you go to a warmer area, it'll go red. When you go to a cooler area, it'll go blue. So where would you look for? I suppose when I'm kind of talking to people who are living anywhere for any amount of time, I kind of go, you probably know where's cold in your house, in around that bay window, or kind of, the flat roof extension or something like that, or the drafty window. We kind of know the areas. And I suppose the idea of this is maybe to confirm that, to kind of, or to go look for areas where you mightn't necessarily feel that there's drafts or something like that. So again, something that's quite common in modern kind of buildings would be drafts underneath the skirting boards or something like that. So it's just the way they're built, and you'll get ventilation down from the attic coming in the back of the wall and out under the skirting boards. You might feel it on your ankles when you're sitting around watching TV, and it's simple enough to just put a bit of kind of wadding, or kind of like a bit of draft proof, and kind of packed in underneath. It doesn't really affect the structure or any sort of performance of the building. It'll just reduce the drafts. Draft strips on windows, that sort of thing as well. There's lots of easy interventions, and I suppose that's what this kit is really about, is those kind of easy, low-cost interventions that you can make to really have a big impact and save a lot of energy. The fridge freezer thermometer, so again, just having your, I suppose, and even at a recent, I seen a CODEMA colleague kind of giving this presentation last week, and somebody going, sure, all the new fridges have thermometers on the front and digital thermometers on the front. I suppose they do, but again, not all do. So again, it's probably more could be more relevant to that, but also they're not always calibrated correctly. So I suppose we want our food to be stored well, but we don't want to be using too much energy. And the difference between 1 degree kind of with appliances, whether it's your home heating, fridges, kind of that sort of stuff, can make a huge difference in energy consumption. The next item there, the plug-in energy monitor. This is, oh God, I was going to say this is one of the more fun tools to use, but that probably reflects more on me than anything else. But I got to go. For this, you can, any appliance that you can get at the plug, put this in, and then you plug your appliance into this, and it'll clock the amount of energy that it's using. So it'll be for like a cycle in a dishwasher. A dishwasher is a difficult one because again you mightn't be able to get to it, but anything where you can get a plug to it. So a washing machine, a dryer, a dishwasher if you can, a microwave. Kettles is actually the one that's used quite a bit for this, and you know the difference between a full kettle and boiling just enough to use can make quite a big difference. The plug-in energy monitor, and that's a really interesting one, particularly like I suppose we're coming into the winter time now. There'll be a lot of people, actually something that's come up quite recently is, instead of tumble dryers, people are using like dehumidifiers to dry clothes. It's actually more, it's quite prevalent actually. It's something it's more widespread than I'd actually realised myself recently. So again, having something like that, but do we actually know how much it costs to do that? I suppose the answer, even for myself, I don't know. It's something that I would be interested in because it's something that a lot of people are using at the moment. A kettle, we can kind of say you'd save probably 50 quid a year in, if you drink 2 cups of tea a day, and instead of boiling the full kettle, and you just boil enough for 1 cup, you could save 50 quid a year. Doesn't sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I'm kind of going, all those bits add up, and like I said, it's energy that we don't need to use, and again, better to be in your own pocket than that of an energy supplier. What have I done here? Here we go. So the radiator key, again, coming into heating season now. I know our heating has been on a couple of, not a lot, but like it is set to fairly low, isn't that right, Roisin? Fairly low, but it does come on during the night. It has come on. It was on last night, certainly for a couple of hours at one point. So it's getting into that kind of heating season where the heating's going to be getting used, and you want it to be working as efficiently as possible. So by doing that, by bleeding your radiators, and again, it's a very kind of low effort kind of high impact kind of thing. Probably takes, like, if I was to bleed the radiators in our house, we've got 7 radiators, I'd probably do it in less than 10 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes, 10 minutes if all the rooms are free and I can get at the rads. So again, you just go around your radiator key. I'd always advise maybe a bit of maybe a cloth or something like that, just to make sure, because sometimes the water that comes out could be black or orange or something like that. Just open it up a little bit. Wait for the water to come. It should be just kind of droplets or a small stream. Tighten it up, and that means then you've no air in the top of your radiators. And again, heat rises, so again, it's the top of your radiators that's they'll run far more efficiently, and your heating will run far more efficiently if your radiators are bled. The last one here is a temperature and humidity meter. So this is something that we certainly don't have in our homes. Certainly you'll have thermostats. Some people might even have digital thermostats, so you actually might know the temperature of your room when you go in. Again, most thermostats, even I think, still would be kind of old analog ones with a dial. You can kind of hear a click, but again, it's not visual, so unless you actually go up and kind of play around with it, you won't know what the actual temperature is. I suppose the temperature part of it is important, and even if you come over to Sustainable Skerry or the Sustainable Energy Communities table, they'll have little thermometer cards which are really useful, and they're quite accurate as well. So place them around in the various rooms and you'll have a very good idea what your temperature is. But the humidity one is something that we don't have great access to, but humidity makes a massive difference. So it's the amount of moisture that's in the air. And something that, again, it certainly was a light bulb moment for me when I kind of heard this, and it was a ventilation company kind of coming in, giving us the CPD around the importance of ventilation. And I suppose ventilation is something that we all consider about air quality and kind of like indoor air quality and stuff, and things related to health. But actually, it has a massive impact on how easy it is to heat a space. So the more moisture that's in the air, the harder it is to heat, or the more energy it takes to heat. And that's simply because water is I think it's 800 times denser than air. So again, it takes far more energy to heat that space with the volume of water that's contained in the air itself. So again, the humidity stat, again, we're looking for, it should give us kind of some guidance kind of here around it. In terms of humidity, we're looking between 40 and 60. Any more than that is kind of a bit, is too much. Any less, it's too dry. Like, so you'll start feeling it kind of in your throat, kind of, and feeling that sort of dry air. Any more than that, and it just feels kind of muggy and not particularly comfortable. So that sort of sweet spot is between like 40 and 60. You can see it there actually on the screen there, 48, which would be pretty much bang on in between the two. So that's something, it's something that if you do find, like, again, interventions around kind of humidity are slightly different. I suppose an easy one is to open a door or a window or something, purge some of the older air out. But again, it is something that you might need to look at, kind of ventilation for your home or dwelling, kind of wherever you're living, if it is something that's particularly high. But again, just some really kind of simple tools. They're free. Well, the only kind of, I suppose, barrier to getting that locally here is either to join your local library, which a lot of people will be. It's free to join. There's lots of other great services kind of there as well. Or get in touch with your local sustainable energy community. And I'm not sure if there's a waiting list or anything like that for that, but it should be relatively available to take out on loan. And again, have a look. The kits as well, like, it comes with a manual. There's 100 ways to save energy in your home. Actually, that middle booklet, we have a whole box of them over there if people want them. Really good tips and tricks kind of in there as well. And then the home energy saving kit workbook as well. So that's going to bring you through everything you need to do. And the way it was written, it was, I suppose, one of the things that I suppose the industry around kind of sustainable energy and energy is can be a little bit inaccessible with acronyms and kind of jargon and stuff like that. But the manual was written in a very kind of accessible way, and they really went out of the way to make it kind of really user friendly and for people who are not from a technical background to use that. So again, I'm pretty confident that if you get the kit, that you should get good use out of it, and again be of some use. I think that kind of probably brings us to the end kind of that. So again, how does it work? That brings us into the tools themselves, but again, that gives you a closer look at the thermal leak detector there. It's a good piece of kit. You can see it there, the green for the reference, the blue for the cold, and the red for the hot. Again, where to use it: walls, windows, doors, floorboards, skirting boards, all those kind of areas. Switches and sockets, the radiator pipes, cracks in walls, that sort of stuff. I'm going to kind of move along through there, but again, that's the areas. They're generally the problem areas you'll find kind of in houses. Your freezer thermometer, again, you want it to be, that's your fridge zone there between kind of 0 and 5, and then the rest is kind of 18 to maybe 23. 18 is considered kind of enough for regular kind of home freezers, and then anything from 0 to 5 for the fridge. You can see there 3 to 5 degrees for the fridge is plenty. A lot of people set it at 4, and minus 15 to minus 18. That's our energy meter again, and like I said, that can be used quite a bit. And again, like, I think the likes of stuff like drying clothes, like a lot of people, even people who like will tell you they don't use a tumble dryer, will have one and use it for drying towels or sheets or something like that. Particularly in the wintertime when it is difficult, and they do use a lot of energy. So again, that'll literally give you exactly how much energy you use, and you can calculate it out quite easily with the amount of loads you do per week or per month. Where to use it, again, anything you can. The Wi-Fi box, that's an interesting one. Something that we probably take for granted is the hidden sort of load on your home. I know somebody from one of the SEAI colleagues here, Michael, done an interesting one where they kind of calculated out, like, those appliances that were using a lot more than they had expected kind of at night time. Gaming consoles as well, like, I know we don't have any in our house, but that's a very common thing in a lot of people's homes with kids. So yeah, kind of hair straighteners. Actually, there was a great one on, there was a lady kind of saying around, giving this presentation a while back, she said, like, I'm terrible for, like, and she's she's sustainability graduate working in the industry, and she's like, I'm terrible when I'm going on a night out, plug in the hair straightener, go off, do me bits, and then come back and straighten my hair. So again, like she's saying, like, I know, like it's just a bad habit. I just need to kind of get sorted. But one that I hadn't obviously considered myself kind of before. Again, all the radiator key, we kind of went through that. This actually gives a good visual on the radiator, like, so when there's air at the top, you can see that it's just not heating properly. Like, most of the radiators you'll find in Irish homes are convection radiators, so they heat. Again, they'll heat from the bottom, the heat rises to the top, and then they'll draw the air in behind, heat the air, and it creates this cycle kind of in the room. And it just doesn't, they just don't work properly. They're designed to work in that way. When they're cold, warm at the bottom and cold at the top, they just won't work correctly. And your humidity stat, kind of like I mentioned, kind of there, very, very useful bit of kit. We don't, you wouldn't normally see something like that. We were there, so 40 to 60% humidity is ideal. You could see it in the kit actually at 48%. That'd be great if that was there. It's really comfortable. Otherwise, dry eyes, skin, mouth, too much, muggy, sticky, heavy. We've probably experienced both. You get a lot of people complaining about air conditioning units not balanced correctly and being too dry, that sort of stuff. And then again, reducing your bills. It takes more energy to heat air that contains more moisture. And where can you use it? Bathrooms are going to be like, with showers and kind of water, anywhere with hot water, steam, you're going to get it. Certainly kind of places like laundry rooms and kitchens might be one. Kitchen certainly, because again, it's, with cooking, you will get a lot of moisture there, and it might be getting purged out. A lot of, particularly like if it's apartments and stuff like that, or even houses, they might have what's called a carbon filter over the cooker. But ideally, like when you're cooking, particularly like boiling water and stuff like that, ideally it's being piped to the outside or ducted to the outside, where the steam can escape. So if you don't have that type of fan that'll actually bring it extracted to the outside, ideally you'll open maybe a small window or something like that, just to purge the moisture from the air. Behind furniture, cabinets, walls and plug sockets, any room in your house really. I think probably where you spend most of your time, you want to be comfortable there and you want your air quality to be good. Where are we there? So the flow meter, actually they used to come with, it does have a bit around taps and kind of shower heads and faucets as well. That may have come with a jug before, but they certainly, like most people have like a Pyrex jug or a jug that they use for measuring stuff for cooking around. But again, that element of it as well we haven't covered is the flow meter. So again, the amount of water you're consuming, like you can actually reduce the amount of water you're consuming quite significantly by installing aerator taps and different types of faucets. They're not that expensive to put in, and you can check your flow rate. So essentially you're just going to measure a jug of water, fill it, and then you kind of calculate out how many litres per minute or kind of litres per minute that are flowing from it. And again, you get your little kind of measurer there, you time it, you fill it up, put the bucket under the shower or tap, set a timer for 10 seconds, empty the bucket into the measuring jug and check how much water was used. Multiply this amount by 6 and calculate your flow rate per minute. So where are we there? So check your flow rate. Check that the water flow rate is 9 litres per minute or less, and that's the kind of standard that we go with now. You'll notice actually from toilets are actually a kind of a good one to look at. Like they have designed it in through building regulations and design now that there'll be most. Like old toilets would have used probably like, some of them might have used 20 litres of water to flush a toilet. They're probably down to like 6 now, in around that I'd say. It's a massive amount of energy goes into, fresh water is a very kind of valuable resource. And again, the more we use, it's just wasteful kind of if it's not necessary. So whether on your own or you rent or share your home, every change will make a difference, and I think that's a really important point just to make there, that like I suppose individually we can have a big impact by kind of making these small changes, and the one thing that we can generally say when you're talking around energy is that you'll also save that money yourself as well. So there's everyone wins. That's it for me, folks. Thanks.